Oi, good morning, true crime fans. This is Filthy Ketchup. Today's case deals with a very grisly and graphic case of cannibalism. Please be advised, this is for adults only. Today's case is about the very, very depraved and very, very unusual case of Omaima Aree Nelson, an Egyptian-American immigrant caused death and destruction to one William Nelson. Let's get into the case. On October the 23rd, 1991, Omaima Aree walked into the bar, and like every other man on the premises, William Nelson had noticed the woman as soon as she walked in. Omaima Aree was petite, she was dark, she was very, very sexually alluring. Definitely well out of his league. Now, however, she was standing close by him, watching him intently as he lined up a shot at the pool table. Omaima Aree loved to play pool. She sidled up next to him. Several of the local studs were trying to chat her up, but she had eyes for only William Nelson. Eventually, he felt that he had to try his luck with this beautiful, dark, petite woman. He walked over and introduced himself. Her name was Omaima, she said, in a beautiful Egyptian accent. Bill and Omaima spent the rest of that evening, October the 23rd, 1991, talking to each other about their respective backgrounds. He told her that he was a retired airline pilot. She told him that she was a model who was working part-time as a nanny. Omaima's accent and dark good looks were also explained when she said to him that she had been born in Egypt. She was 24 years old and had come to the United States in 1986, hoping to make a better life. Not much is known about Omaima Aree's early life, but it's safe to say that her penchant for criminality would have started very, very early. What William Nelson didn't know is that Omaima Aree had for several years in America been making a living out of robbing older men. What she would do, she would seduce them by playing pool, dressing very provocatively. She was very, very good at using her sexuality, and that's what she did. She would con vulnerable older men into spending the night with her, talk them into some kind of bondage sex, tie them up, threaten them with a knife, take all their money, and because of the embarrassment and probably the shame that they had been taken over by such a little woman, they never reported this to the police. Needless to say, she didn't tell any of this to William Nelson. Then Omaima confided something to William Nelson that got him all hot and bothered. She said that she liked older men who were also tall. Now, William Nelson was 56 years of age and 6'4", so this definitely got his interest. They left the bar together that night, driving to William Nelson's Costa Mesa apartment in his red Corvette. Within days, William Nelson, called Bill, had proposed, and Omaima had gleefully accepted. William E. Nelson was a man of the world, and he should have known better. There was a lot that he didn't know about his new bride. He didn't know that she was a thief. He didn't know that she menaced money out of men with knives. And she didn't know that her previous conquests had ended up shackled to their beds, pistol whipped, robbed of their money and valuables, and probably terrified. Omaima was a skilled and sexually adventurous lover. When she suggested introducing bondage, William gleefully agreed. So it was that on the night of November the 28th, 1991, William Nelson ended up shackled to his bed, with Omaima Nelson on top of him. Breathlessly anticipating sex, he failed to notice when Omaima reached down and grabbed a pair of sharp scissors. By the time she reached up with the sharp scissors and raised them above her head, it was too late. Omaima Nelson pulled the scissors down with as much force as she could and stabbed them into the middle of his chest. The attack was prolonged and continued even after Bill Nelson was dead. In addition to the scissor attack, he was bludgeoned repeatedly with a domestic iron. He was smashed around the head. He was stabbed repeatedly with the scissors. Finally, exhausted, Omaima slumped forward against her husband's battered body, with her breath coming in short bursts. She held that position for only a moment. Now she had a problem. She had a 6'4" corpse to dispose of. Getting rid of a human body is much more difficult than people think. Omaima had no idea how much of a human body that she would have to dispose of. William Nelson was a big man. He was 6'4". He weighed in at 230 pounds, so about 15 or 16 stone. So he was big. There was a lot of his body. She did not realise how much work it would take. Still, Omaima was nothing if not determined. Over the hours and days that followed, she decapitated, dismembered, disemasculated, and disemboweled her husband's corpse. She chopped the body into pieces. She took out the viscera and the intestines. She disemboweled him. She cut his hands off. She disemasculated him, so she cut off his penis and his testicles. She cut off his head and basically strewn the body all around the apartment. A lot of the body parts were packed into bags and then into suitcases and placed in the back of the car. However, Omaima did not discard all of William Nelson's remains. Choice cutlets were held back, broiled, breaded and deep fried. She cut the ribs, she cut the steak off of the rump, and she cut off the hands and put them in the deep fryer. The cuts of the rump and the ribs she broiled in barbecue sauce and sat down to eat them for a Thanksgiving dinner. She liberally coated the macaw cutlets in barbecue sauce. Later she would joke to police, "Nothing tastes as sweet as my husband, it's the sauce that does it." The murder of William Nelson was horrific. It was prolonged. It was almost beyond description, but it was not a well thought out, well planned crime. It was impulsive, it was spontaneous, and she didn't think it through. As the surviving spouse, Omaima would immediately have come under suspicion anyway, once Bill's disappearance had been noticed, and the amount of blood and tissue and body parts left in the apartment was a CSI's wet dream. However, Omaima hastened her own demise with her own arrogance and unbelievable ego. She actually went to her ex-boyfriends, quite a few of them, and asking for help to get rid of her ex-husband's teeth and his head. One ex-boyfriend said to her, "Okay, don't worry, you go back to your apartment, I'll get my truck." And instead of getting his truck, he gets the police. Detectives were soon pounding on the door of the Nelsons' Costa Mesa apartment. Inside, they found a scene of absolute carnage. It was like a B horror movie. There was blood everywhere, pulled on the walls, pulled on the floors, soaked into the mattress. Plastic bags held crudely hacked chunks of flesh and gristle. Bill's boiled head was in the refrigerator, flesh falling away from the skull. His hands were floating in the deep fryer. They had been breaded with breadcrumbs and they were partially cooked. In the back of the Corvette were 2 suitcases, each containing hacked flesh, coils of viscera and dismembered intestines. When the coroner's office weighed the accumulated body parts, 80 pounds of William Nelson was missing. That 80 pounds was consumed by his wife, Omaima Nelson. Omaima Nelson was then placed under arrest and charged with murder. She made no attempt to deny that she killed her husband, but insisted that she'd acted in self-defence. She said that William was beating her, he raped her, She tried to explain the cutting of the penis and testicles by saying it was revenge for an act of rape. However, this did not explain the horrendous mutilations, the dismemberment, nor the acts of cannibalism that she admitted to. She admitted to the psychologist that her husband's ribs were so sweet, so tender. Nothing tasted as sweet as the taste of my husband. There was no explanation for the cannibalism and the dismemberment other than a depraved and sick nature. She was tried and found guilty of murder in February 1993. Omaima Nelson was sentenced to 28 years to life. She's currently incarcerated at the Central California Women's Institute in Chowchilla. Her parole applications in 2006 and 2011 were both denied. She becomes eligible again in 2026. In 2026, she might actually have a chance of being released. The case of Omaima Aree Nelson is a horrific, very rare female cannibal murder. It's very, very rare for a woman to kill, full stop. It's even more rare for a woman to dismember a corpse. Omaima Nelson was depraved. She was absolutely depraved, and she had a sick mind. However, in prison, she continued her behaviour of seducing older men and married a wealthy older man with whom she hopes to return to in 2026. So that is the case of Omaima Nelson. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that. Thank you. This is Filthy Ketchup. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Bye.